GearZombie.
What up? Welcome to GearZombie Q&A. I'm wearing my Daddy's Gotta Pay the Bills shirt. Don't let me wear my Sepultura shirts during the week. So we're gonna do a Q&A. I haven't done one. I don't know if I've done one here ever. I mean, I've answered questions throughout things, but I don't think I've ever done just like a standalone Q&A. I'm gonna call it a Q&A. I wanna, maybe like a Q&A, like Fonzie. It's a GearZombie Q&A. That was more Tony Danza than Fonzie anyway. All right, so I got some questions that came into me through the YouTubes. We're gonna read these off here. All right, let's start with this. This question came in a little while ago. This is from, I'm gonna butcher this name, Iqbal Irmawan. That's what I'm gonna go with, Iqbal Irmawan. He commented on a video that was how to use an overdrive boost pedal. It was with an Ibanez Tube Screamer TS9. And he asks, hey man, just curious, what if I stacked another overdrive distortion like a Sewer Eclipse or a Jonasis by GFI with the TS9? My goal is to boost and add more bit of gain to play a solo. You're already running a Tube Screamer, it looks like, or some sort of a boost pedal, and you're asking if you can put another boost pedal in front of it. Yeah, absolutely, that's not an uncommon practice. And I got a couple options you can think about. First, a lot of people might wonder why would you want to run two boost pedals? Why would you do that? A common scenario for me to talk about is the Mesa Boogie factor, or the rectifier factor to be more precise. Everybody loves the great big fat power sound of like a Mesa dual or triple rectifier. What people tend to not like is the sloppy party bottom from a rectifier. And not only do you get the sloppy party bottom, but you get that fizzy top. Sloppy party bottom, fizzy top. I think I dated her in the 80s. So what's your solution? You still want that big, huge Mesa sound, that huge, like, crushing sort of hard rock metal sound. You throw a TS9 in the front. What that does is it kind of sucks the bottom end up. You still have a nice, big, fat sound, but it tightens it up, and then it rolls that fizziness off the top. So now you got your TS9 in front of your Mesa, you got the tone you want for just all-around rhythm playing, but then you want to hit a solo. You can have another pedal in front that you can hit that and boost it again, and you don't really have to alter the tone if you don't want to, but boost it again and it gives you an additional volume boost so that your leads will cut through the mix. That's one scenario. The one thing I will say is I don't really have a lot of recommendations as to what pedals you would use, because the pedals are gonna have different characteristics unless you buy two of the exact same pedal. I think if you look, there is just straight up, just clean boost that you can get, just a boost pedal. But something else you can consider is there's a lot of companies that make dual stage overdrives. Ibanez is one of them. I think it's called the TS808 Deluxe. I got a link down there, you can take a look at that. And that basically is a Tube Screamer pedal with a boost. And so you can set in your Tube Screamer, and I don't remember how much boost it is. But here's the cool thing about that pedal. Not only do you have the Tube Screamer and the boost, but there's also a switch where you can tell it where you want the boost to go, if you want it to go before the TS9 or after the TS9. So you have some options there. So that's another way that you can go about it. But yeah, absolutely, man. Stack up pedals all you want. It's, try stuff out. That's how everybody finds the sounds that they think are so iconic. They just try stacking stuff up. I remember reading an article years and years back. I think it's when Dimebag was recording fucking Hostile. And he had the wah pedal and he wasn't getting the sweep he wanted out of the wah pedal. I think he was just using a Crybaby, but don't quote me. In the article they talked about how he took two Crybabys, put them together and connected them with like dowels, like wooden dowels, so that when he stepped on it, he would get both pedals going at the same time and make one big huge sweep. So yeah, man, stick 10 of those in front, see what happens, get what you want. But yeah, absolutely, you can do that. So we got another one here from, it's called Super Awesome, and it says, what's the best one? Axe-Fx, Helix, Kemper, or HeadRush? You're not gonna like my answer to this. None of them. It's whichever one you wanna play with. 3 of them are modelers, 1 of them's a profiler. I've played with all of them. I've owned 2 of them. I owned the Axe-Fx Ultra, the Axe-Fx 2. I was gonna buy the Axe-Fx 3. I sold my 2. I bought a Helix, kept the Helix, borrowed the 3. 3's fantastic. Played a Kemper a good handful of times. Played a HeadRush a couple times. The modeling is so good on all of them that you have to start looking at other things. I think you can grab any one of those tools and you're gonna be able to make really good sounding tones. You're gonna be able to make music. It's gonna be kick-ass. Where they separate are what sort of things you can do with your routing, how many goodies and trinkets are in each thing. So if you're just looking at the 3 modelers, I would probably at this point say Axe-Fx is clearly on top, Helix is probably number 2, and HeadRush is the 3rd. And I'm not saying that because I think that any one of them quality-wise is any better than the other, really. The Axe-Fx has been around for a long time. They have tons and tons of models, tons of effects, tons of all kinds of stuff, and it's all ridiculously high quality and badass. Anybody that asks me if they should buy an Axe-Fx, the answer is always yes. The Helix is much younger, so there's not as much stuff. I mean, even though Line 6 has been doing modeling forever, the Helix is a relatively new unit by comparison to the Axe-Fx. And that technology. So there's not as many models, not as many effects, but it still does what it does really well. If there's one thing that I would say that I tend to not like so much with the Helix, it's the cab sims, but you can throw aftermarket IRs in there and then you're good to go. The HeadRush, I've just demoed the HeadRush a couple times. It's fine. And I have a buddy that uses the HeadRush now. And he uses it live. He's a touring musician. He digs the thing. So I think you're going to have to look at other things to get that answer. You're not going to get that answer from, especially from looking at just YouTube videos and comparing sounds. When you start watching YouTube videos and watching even guys like me, don't listen to people like me, and then look down in the comments and see how many people say, "Oh, that sounds digital. That sounds fake." Some dude just like me dialed that unit in. Maybe didn't have it for very long. Maybe they don't know what they're doing. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing. Take that all with a grain of salt. That when you're listening to clips, especially versus clips, you're listening to one dude's vision of tone. So, but I really do believe that we're in the time where you can buy any one of those units and you're gonna have more than acceptable tone. You could take any one of those live, any one of those in the studio, and you're gonna get what you want. So I'm not gonna give you a clear winner, but they're all badass. It's a great time for technology to be a guitar player because all that stuff sounds so convincing. You can take any of these modelers and put them up next to against a real head and cab, and it's, you know, you mic that head and cab and then you listen to my Helix. I can do just as well with the Helix as I can do with mic in any cab. Updates. Fractal does a ton of updates. They add a bunch of stuff. That's all free. Line 6 does the same thing. I'm not positive how that works with Kemper and HeadRush, so something to consider there. Okay, so this fella commented on my Line 6 PowerCab Plus review, and he says, this are 2 HeadRush 108s. You're not really comparing apples to apples when you talk about the HeadRush FRFR-108 compared to the Line 6 PowerCab Plus. They're different technology. So the HeadRush is just a straight up full range speaker. Now it's a full range speaker that's designed for guitar modelers primarily. It's 2,000 watts with an 8-inch speaker in it. The things are also $200. So you can get a pair of those for $400. The PowerCab Plus is a 112 and it's $799. So how much is a regular PowerCab? It's $599. Here's the difference. The PowerCab, it is a cab, right? It is a physical cabinet, like a little guitar cab. In that little guitar cab, you've got a 12-inch speaker like you would normally run with a guitar, and that is tweaked to sound like a guitar speaker. In that speaker, you can dial in different IRs. You can throw your own IRs. So if you want it to sound like greenbacks, you've got a setting like that. If you want it to sound like a vintage 30, you got a setting like that. I think you need to ask yourself what it is you're trying to do. My same buddy that I said played HeadRush before, he's a guitar, I hope he doesn't mind me talking about him. A friend of mine plays in OTEP, guitar player for OTEP. When I talked to him at NAMM, he was with HeadRush at the NAMM show, and he's probably one of the biggest gear nerds that I know, and the guy totally knows his shit. He actually was the dude that pretty much got me into this. Like, I started to kind of try to tinker with studio stuff and I didn't really understand what I was doing. He was my tech support many, many moons ago. He was using the 108s, and he was like, man, these sound really good. I really dig these. So I think if you just want something that's just completely flat volume and you want to run them in stereo, for $400 you've got that. If you want something that behaves and sounds like a guitar cab, which is what the PowerCab is meant to do, you throw a mic on it, you can mic it up like a regular guitar cab. You're not going to want to do that with a full range because you can't mic a full range cab unless you back way off. It's a different sort of technology. So I think you just need to decide what it is you're after. Are you after something that sounds like a guitar cabinet? Or are you after something that is physically representing the guitar sound that's coming out of your modeler? Does that make sense? I feel like I'm having a hard time articulating that. Okay, so this is a comment on one of my Line 6 Shuriken Variax videos. It says, great video, dude. So I'm in a dilemma. I'm torn between a handmade guitar, a Shuriken, and one of Ola England's Solar 1.6 series. So my question, if you had the choice, would you choose a Shuriken? I think you need to look at what you need. Do you need the ability to digitally change your tuning? Do you need the ability for it to model other body styles and stuff like that? If no, then I would look the other way. I don't own a Shuriken. I went through them trying to do the YouTube videos, and I don't own them anymore. You didn't talk about what handmade guitar you're looking at. I'm probably more interested in that. I've never played any of Ola's new Solars, but I will tell you that I personally haven't heard a bad thing about them. The Solar 1.6, $1,000 US, $99.99. The Shuriken, depending on which Shuriken you get, they're coming down in price now, it looks like. The Shuriken in the 27-inch scale length and the 25-inch scale length are $1,499, so $1,500. And then as you go through different colors, that changes. It looks like people don't really go after the white ones because those are $1,084. This is on Sweetwater, by the way. From my understanding, aside from the scale length, everything is the same. So the technology is the same. You can walk into a custom-built guitar for $1,500. You can get decent ones. If you can get into a guitar that's going to be personal to you and something that you love and you can stay around that price point, me personally, I'd probably go that way. I'd have my baby built before I would do something like that if that's what your options are. Now, if you're talking spending $3 grand on a higher end Kiesel that you're ordering or whatever it is you're looking at, it's a different talk. So with the Solar, you get an Evertune. The Solar, I mean, $1,000 you get Duncans in it. It looks badass, and it's got an Evertune, and that's kind of looking like the one right there. One thing I will tell you about the Shuriken is something that you have to consider is that when I first got into those, my plan was to take the entire live show digital with the Shuriken, and my one concern with any of the Variaxes was leaning my whole live show on that technology. I mean, I'm not saying anything bad about the manufacturer, it's just you are hanging everything on this digital technology. So if it breaks when you're playing live, you're hosed. If you have everything wrapped around this digitalness and it relies on that, if that one guitar goes down when you're playing live, sorry, too bad, so sad. So when I got them, I'd ordered 2 of them. That was fun. I like answering questions. Love the fart. All right, while I got you on the hook, any of the songs that I do for equipment demos, I've been uploading all that stuff to iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, whatever you can think of, it's out there. Go out and search for GearZombie. I'm also doing a whole ton of covers. I've got a bunch of gear demos that are coming for different pieces of equipment, and I'm doing a bunch of covers. That stuff I'm doing under my old band name, My Selfish Me, one word, all scrunched up, My Selfish Me. So if you want to go out and check that out, I would appreciate it. I'd love to hear what you think. If not, there's going to be videos of that stuff that's coming up with all those tunes in it. So I'm super excited to get that stuff out. Thanks for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe. I love your faces. Till next time, GearZombie. It's my Q&A.
I farted.